What's up, Tackle Warehouse fans? Jake here with another episode of What's New at Tackle Warehouse, another ICAST edition. So the show was last week. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the coverage. In this episode, as you can see, we got a pile of stuff to show you today. Some more great stuff that some of our awesome vendors have sent us samples of to give us an early look. We're actually filming this before ICAST. We're getting a little sneaky on you. And if you want the more detailed rundown on any of this gear, head on over to tacklewarehouse.com. You can go on to our ICAST coverage page and get the full interview with the experts, rod designers, reel designers, the pros that really have the inside scoop on all this stuff. We're going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter than the last episode. Try to give you guys a quick rundown of all this gear that is now available for pre-order, or some of it has trickled into stock actually. So some of it's up for pre-order, some of it you can buy right now, but all this is 2024 ICAST releases, so let's jump right into it. One of the first ones we got here is from our good buddies over there at Abu Garcia and one of the longtime Tackle Warehouse pros, Mike Iaconelli. Abu Garcia new Mike Iaconelli series of rods and reels. So we got the casting reel and we got the rods. And just like the last series on the series of rods, Ike did the power series, the delay series, and the finesse spinning series. So a bunch of his favorite actions are in that lineup. In the power series, I believe he's using a 30-ton graphite construction, and on the delays, this is actually a delay rod here in my hand, they're using high strain glass material, and I really like the glass that they use in these rods. They have that really soft tip, but they do have what feels to me a little bit stronger backbone than some of the other, like a full glass rod would have. They have a little bit more power to them, if that makes sense. And then on the reels, nice update on the reels. Still have those Iaconelli kind of cosmetics to them. And, nice brake system on the side, easy to adjust, big oversized handle and knobs. Got them left and right, multiple gear ratios to pair up with the Iaconelli series of rods. So new update, like I said, if you want to see the full interview and get the full inside scoop, we did an interview with our buddy Mike Iaconelli. Let's get this one over off to the side. See if we can get some more of these rods here out of the way, because we got a lot going on here. So the Veritas series from Abu Garcia. So again, another series of rods that Abu Garcia did a full, complete revamp on. And not only do we have the Veritas casting spinning, there's a Veritas LTD, there's a Veritas winch, the Toro series, and a BFS. So they've got all spectrums covered. So if you need something for saltwater inshore, if you want a bait finesse rod, cranking rods, they've got the full lineup. I don't know how many SKUs are between this entire lineup, but as being someone who's fished quite a few of the Veritas reels over the years, I don't know what generation this one is. Fifth, sixth generation of Veritas rods that they've made. This one is by far my favorite, because I've fished a couple of the older models, and I like this one a lot. So 50% lighter and more durable as well. So every time they revamp these rods, they make them stronger and lighter as well. And you can for sure feel that in your hand when you get this new one in your hand. The lighter, more crisp, refined feel of this series of Veritas rods. And what I do love about this rod is they kind of changed up the cosmetics a lot, and they kind of went to this black transition down here on the bottom. And instead of the shinier finish on the blank, it's a matte finish. Really looks slick. And then my favorite part about this series is the new grips and reel seats they put on here. So there's a carbon fiber nut up at the top, but this reel seat, incredibly comfortable, nice EVA foam handle, and kind of has that carbon fiber texturing down here on the split grip. Really cool series of rods. And personally, I've always believed that this series is kind of one of the ones that's super hard to beat in that $100, $120 price point down there in that end. Really great series of rods there from Abu Garcia. Let me see what else we got here from rods. Actually, we'll go and do a couple reels. We'll stick with the Abu Garcia stuff. So big revamp on a bunch of the reels. This first one here is a new Revo Inshore. What stood out to me on this reel, it is an Inshore reel. It is built rock solid, aluminum frame on the inside, rock solid aluminum spool. You know, with the Revos, you're always getting tons of drag power with these things. So not only is it going to be a great inshore reel, so it has the anti-corrosive bearing systems on the inside, so you can use it in saltwater environments. That's what it's made for. But also going to double for a really nice swim bait reel. It's Got that new asymmetrical design to it, low profile. It fits so well in your hand. It's super comfortable, but you know, it's got that big giant handle on there, which is what you want for a lot of swim bait applications. Just gives you more cranking power and something to grab onto, especially when you hook a big one, you're trying to winch those things to the boat. So I think this thing's gonna pull double duty and make a great swim bait reel for maybe those like 8 inches and below swim baits, because it's not like a true 300 or 400 size reel, but it does have a deep spool for increased line capacity. So Inshore plus if you're looking for a new swim bait reel, great option as well. The next one up, the new Revo Premier. So this is actually the 5th generation of the Revo Premier, and there's carbon fiber side plates on this thing, and a new alloy frame in the middle, so incredibly lightweight. So they really shaved a lot of weight off this reel. One of the things I noticed right off the bat is what they did on the last generation of the Rocket is they put that straight carbon handle on there, and I love that handle. It's got these big knobs on there, and it just feels like you have a ton of winding power, especially with those oversized knobs. I mean, they look like knobs that you would get on, you know, a 300 or 400 size reel, but this thing is super lightweight in the hand, incredibly smooth, as always to be expected with the Revo Premier. And I mean, they got a nice like aluminum wiffled spool on there. 10 bearing system on there, so I mean you can feel it. It is crazy smooth. Abu did a phenomenal job on that here. It's got the clicker drag noise. And then last up, they got the new Revo bait finesse reel. So as you can see on that spool, crazy shallow. So now Abu Garcia has got an offering for bait finesse fishing. So super lightweight. I mean, it doesn't take nothing to barely move that thing, and it stops, which is what you want, that really low inertia startup and stop, to really reduce the amount of backlashing that you get with some of these smaller weight lures when you're trying to throw them on bait casting equipment. But for all your 4 through 6 pound applications on those light baits, and then you need a rod, they've got a new Veritas rod to go with it as well. So you can get a full bait finesse setup from Abu Garcia. And this thing, again, this one is another one that's super light in the hand, so it's going to be really comfortable to fish all day long and not get tired. And the bait finesse stuff, you want it to be lightweight and comfortable and fun to fish all day, and not feel like you're holding a brick in your hand when you're trying to throw, you know, little baits and just have fun out there fishing with this stuff. So that's going to wrap up the Abu Garcia stuff. So let's go into a couple things from St. Croix here. So this first one here, this is actually not even a rod that we're carrying. This is a Mojo Muskie rod, a telescopic one, but they sent us this to show us what they're doing with these handles this year. So this is their new graphs handle technology. So these big trigger handles came out, I believe last year or the year before, and now they're giving you more options. So they're implementing this handle design in a bunch of different rods across a bunch of different St. Croix rods, or across a bunch of the different families across the St. Croix lineup. But now it's going to come with this pack in the package. So you're going to have this little pack and then different options that you can put here on the back. So when you unscrew the handle, you can remove that grip, and then you can add yourself, you can add one of the other grips. So you can put like the traditional like Palmer trigger style grip, or if you don't want any type of trigger at all, you can just make it a flat grip. So and then once you put your reel in there, it locks it right in place. But really cool, innovative design from St. Croix. So now with their new handles that they have on some of their rods, you can now change them out and add a few more options and just customize to your preference. Not everyone wants the big giant handle. Now, some people don't want a trigger on there at all either. So next up from St. Croix is a new series of rods. This is actually the Black Bass series. So this is made with their SC3 carbon. These are a titanium frame, but stainless steel rings on the inside. So what's really cool about that is they're not using any kind of like a cheap insert on the insert of the guide. So with that construction, these things are going to be really tough. They're coming in at $180, and crazy lightweight, super strong. They have nice, you know, that cosmetic on there, that gray finish is really cool. And then up here on the handle, they got this aluminum nut on here. It just locks those reels down there. And then kind of a multi-material handle on the bottom, and just a super sleek, awesome looking series of rods from St. Croix. And with the St. Croix lineup, they do so many different models. I mean, down from, I believe, a 6.8 or a 6.10, you know, medium light jerkbait rod, all the way up to, I believe they got one close to 8 foot or a 711, 710 that throws 4 to 8 ounce baits. So St. Croix does such a great job of covering the full range of kind of everything you would want in a series of rods, and just getting all those actions that the bass anglers would want. And then the other thing they got from St. Croix is these GXR combos, and now these things are sweet. So it's a new rod, but it's also going to come with a 7 reel on it. So these combos, I believe they're coming in right around 200 bucks, and you're going to be hard pressed to find a combo that's this quality for that kind of money. So everything they got on here, it comes in a phenomenal price point and high quality with the reel and the rod. But what's cool about this combo series is that they've got multiple actions. You're not just going to have the regular old 6'6" medium heavy and 7 foot medium heavy. They actually have quite a few more options. They have a 7.2 and a 7.4, but they have some heavier actions. So something that you can throw jigs with, and vibrating jigs, and you can do a little bit of flipping with it, frogging. So they got more options that if you just want to buy a combo, they're giving you more options than you would with just a regular 7 foot medium heavy rod. So the couple of rods that are in this series, you can do a ton of bass fishing with. So if you're looking for a combo, if you just want to get something be one and done, I would check these new ones out from St. Croix. All right, the last one up here from St. Croix, from 7, is their new 150 size reel. So this new reel is actually their flagship casting reel. So it's an all aluminum body and frame. It feels solid, and on the outside they did this carbon fiber 95 millimeter handle on there, and everything on here, the tolerances and everything they did just feel super tight and really well constructed. So the little tension knob on there, it's got a nice audible click. It's actually a machined anodized piece of aluminum. The brake system on the outside, they actually have 2 brake systems. So they have the magnetic out here on the outside, but you can open it up right here with the switch and open up the inside and get to this centrifugal brake system. So you can really dial this reel in and really customize it to conditions, baits, line size, and types of fishing applications you're doing. So another great reel there from 7 Reels. All right, we got a couple more rods and reels to talk about, and we'll move on to some baits. So from Pflueger, start off with the Pflueger President XT. So this is a full graphite frame and side plate, so it is really lightweight, really smooth. I believe this is an 11 bearing system, but they got these cork handles on them. Pflueger's done that on a lot of reels in the past, and I've always been a big fan of that. They're super comfortable and just better than just having some of the cheap plastic reels that are out there on the market. Just something that's a nice touch, and if you like, cork rods, cork grips, this be one that you want to check out. But what's cool about this series is they've kind of got everything covered. So here is the President XT rod, and I believe these are 24-ton graphite and super lightweight, but just a classic style looking rod, cork handles on there. And then they've done this on a few of their newer rods as well, is they really reduce a lot of that material around the blank. Your hand fits in there really well, and it just makes them super, super comfortable. But in this President XT series, so we have casting rods, casting reels, spinning reels, 1-piece, 2-piece, and combos. So they've pretty much got the entire thing covered. So anything if you're interested in any part of the XT series, they've got it there from Pflueger. Next up, from our buddies over at Mach, they're kind of doing the same thing with their new generation, the generation 3 of the Mach 1 series. So 3rd generation of the Mach 1. And what's cool about these reels, so these ones, again, are graphite frame and body, super lightweight. And then the drag system on there, they've got a ton of power. But what's cool about these new generation 3s of the Mach 1s is they have 2 different options for you. So they have a they have a regular deep spool, so traditional size of the line. So if you want to throw, 10 to 20 pound line, that's going to be the one that you want to go with. But if you're looking for something with a shallow spool, they've also got that covered for you as well. So if you're looking for a reel for skipping, if you're only making short skips, that shallow spool, Luz has done that with a couple of their reels as well. and they've been highly successful with it, and just the performance for skipping is phenomenal. But it also, you can throw really light lines. If you're looking for a shallow spool reel to throw that 6-8 pound test with the really small baits, it's great for that as well. So so a couple different options in the spool sizes. You can get these new reels, you can get the new rods. Here's the new rods. I believe the rods are coming in at, I think, $75, and then the reels are coming in at $129, but you can get the combo for, I believe, $160. So if you get the combo, you can save a little bit of money. So with the combos, again, we got the casting, spinning, casting rods, casting reels, spinning rods, spinning reels, whole lineup. So anything that you want in this new Mach Gen 3 lineup, Lou's got you covered with that one. These rods are IM7 blanks. These ones are crazy lightweight as well. It seems like every rod I've gotten to pick up today is super lightweight, well balanced. What I like about the Mach rods is these Win dry tack grips on there. So if you've never tried one, I'd highly recommend giving one a shot. It's just something different, and it's super comfortable and just kind of breaks the mold of the traditional EVA or cork handles. So so super comfortable rods. And if you want, any kind of configuration, pretty much have it covered there from Mach. All right, now we're gonna get into some baits. We've got through the rods and reels. Thanks for sticking with us. Let's talk about some new lures that are coming out. This first one here from All Terrain Tackle, this new Tungsten jig. And when we saw this thing, we got a sample of it. This jig actually literally came in a little plastic bag, and we were checking it out in the office, and this is probably one of the most well-built jigs I've seen in a long time. We get to see quite a few jigs here in the Tackle Warehouse office. So it's a tungsten head, but they're not just doing one color of tungsten head. They're painting them and actually kind of matching it up with whatever skirt color you're gonna get. So that tends to happen a lot with companies making tungsten jigs. They're usually just one head color, and then they're just tying skirts on them. But with these jigs, so they're color coordinating the heads, and then this skirt material, it's super, super thin, and they're hand tying it. So in there in the middle, they're hand tying these jigs, which is this is another thing that kind of separates these jigs and sets them above the rest of the competition. If you can get a hand tied jig, something of this quality, your jig is going to have more action, and the skirt is going to just last a lot longer than other jig materials or other banded skirts out there on the market. And that hook, it's got a pretty wide gap on it, and it's not a super long shank, so it maintains that compact profile. Going to be perfect for flipping. So it kind of has like a modified archy head shape, vertical line tie, and it's got a barb keeper on there as well. And then on it's actually got the skirt band so that you can add a rattle to it as well. So a really cool flipping jig, one that I'm actually super pumped to try out and hopefully get to steal this sample when no one's in the office. From Magnum Baits, we got a couple things. So we got the new Magnum, the baby beef craw. So they've made this craw in a much larger option for those bigger jigs and flipping, with a big big Texas rig flipping hook. But now they got a smaller option that would be, I guess, your more traditional size craw bait. But this is going to be perfect for a wide range of flipping jigs. I didn't even put two and two together, but right there you can line that thing up and you would have a phenomenal jig with that all-terrain jig and that plastic on there. So it's the right size for most of your jigs if you're looking for that traditional size, more compact jig trailer. But if you want that profile that they've made in the beef craw and some of the phenomenal colors that Magnum Baits does. And the next one they got is the Magu straight tail worm. So a true Magnum size straight tail worm. It's not just like some companies, they make a straight tail worm and they have they bump it up one size and it's now the mag version. This thing is giant. So they've made this to fit on, I believe it's the Hog Farmer stand-up shaky head, but any of your big mag shaky heads that have that EWG hook on there, this will work great on. And then the material they're pouring these out of will actually float up off the bottom. So if you need Magnum size, straight tail worm, you want to fish deep points and offshore structure and have a big profile, and that thing stand up in the fish's face, that's going to be the one you want to go with. All right, new swim bait from G-Rat. So G-Rat came out with the Executioner soft swim bait. last year or the year before, and now they have a top hook version, which is really cool. This is one I've actually personally been waiting for. I mean, this profile of bait is really cool. It's just a subtle bait fish profile. It's got nice fins on it, but it's got a lot of weight to it. And there's a lot, if you can see inside, this clear plastic, how much lead is inside the head of this bait. It's really heavy for the size of it, so it's going to help keep it down on the bottom and crawling it along structure. And then it is wide and flat on the bottom, so it'll sit on the bottom. So if you really want to slow roll it, especially in the wintertime, and pause it, that's going to be a phenomenal bait for you. And they come in a 2-pack, so not a lot of top hook swim baits come in a 2-pack. And they've got some just outstanding colors. They're more of old school style colors in my opinion, but man, they've got some really, really cool colors in this Executioner top hook. And you're definitely gonna want some of these for wintertime fishing, the fall when they start really biting swim baits, and then the springtime when they get on the big bait bite again. Just really cool swim bait. Check those out from G-Rat. From Nasheen, so we got a new 95 MD size. So Nasheen Lure Works has made a bunch of these Erie darter baits, and he came out with a 95 size a while ago, and now he's adding an MD version. So so that deeper depth, so that bigger bill on there gets this thing down 7, 8, 9 feet, depending on the cast and your line size. So a lot of companies are, you're gonna see more of them here coming up. A lot of companies are making jerk baits just to get deeper and just cover more sections of the water column. Not everyone's just going down the bank anymore and just needs a 3 to 5 foot diver. There's a huge need right now for 7 to 10 foot diving jerk baits, because how effective they are with forward facing sonar. But I've always been a fan of the deeper diving jerk baits myself, just because some of the reservoirs we fish out here in California, the banks are so steep that sometimes a 3 to 5 foot diver is not going to get you into an effective strike zone, and those deeper ones just get you down there where the fish are at. All right, from Fish Arrow, kind of another live scope bait, but one I'm kind of interested to play with myself. This new Flash J with the spin on the end. So Flash J spin elastomer. So if you're familiar with any of like the Fish Arrow Flash J's, they had the little foil insert on the inside, but I mean the texturing and the finish on these baits are second to none. I mean, they look just like a live bait fish, but this one's got a little blade on the back of it. So something really cool to try. I mean, I know everyone's gonna grab it for live scope fishing, but this is one I'm pretty interested to kind of tinker around with. So either fishing it on the bottom on like a small jig head, but also throwing it on a drop shot and maybe trying it onto underspin. There's going to be a bunch of things I want to try with this bait. So something really cool, a cool little bait fish profile. There's so many different minnows this year, and this one stood out to me, having that little blade on the back of it, just adding a little bit of flash and vibration. All right, from Live Target, we got a whole bunch of new baits. So these are all a part of their ICT series, which stands for Injected Core Technology. That was a mouthful. I hope I didn't mess that one up. And they've got a bunch of different baits, and they look crazy realistic. Live Target's always been kind of one of those standout companies that always makes super highly realistic looking baits. So these injected core baits, they're 3-dimensional, and the core of the baits is where they inject a bunch of the colors, and they just look super, super cool. So this craw bait, I mean, is no exception. It looks just like a live craw. Little pinchers on there, all the side legs. I mean, it looks like if you didn't know any better, you would think this is a live crawdad. So something really cool to try out. But what I'm most pumped about is some of these swim baits. So the little sunfish, I mean, that just looks phenomenal. And then they've got that tail on the back there that they've put that on a bunch of swim baits in the past. And that tail shape, the swimming action on it is super effective. And now you got them in these crazy realistic colors. So on these baits, they do have the top slot. If I can get the fin opened up on it, if I can get it to, there it goes. So there is a slot between the fin on the top, and then there's a slot in the belly. So you can put your screw lock in there. It's going to tuck up in there nicely, and then it's just less plastic on there that's going to impede your hook penetration. So you're going to get phenomenal hook penetration. So they have a little sunfish, and then this shad. This thing looks absolutely killer. So same thing, split on the fin on the top and then in the belly as well. But man, that thing is like the perfect size for, you know, pretty much any size bass, a 1 to 2 pounder will come up and fold this thing up in his mouth, no problem. And the colors on these things just look way different than all the other swim baits on the market, and just something that's really cool that I'm pretty pumped to try when they actually come into stock. And the last one is their frog. So this frog was made to be fished on like a single single EWG or a double frog hook, and it is hollow, so it will float. But those legs on there, so it's kind of got these legs that are going to slinky and kick back and forth, and you can throw this thing around pads, but man, that is a highly realistic looking frog. It's got the little arms tucked in on the side, but with the way they're doing those injected cores, just really brings these things to life. And then that action is going to be different than all just the skirted hollow body frogs going across the surface. This thing actually looks like a real deal frog. It'd be really cool to try those out. All right. Let's go into, let's see here. Oh, Storm right here in the front. So Storm is now making the speed trap crankbait. So if it looks familiar, it looks like the old the old Jensen speed traps. So now this is made by Storm, and this is one of those crankbaits that tons of people throw them, but nobody talks about, especially a lot of the big pros. I remember Aaron Martins was always a big fan of this crankbait. Highly successful crankbait in the spring, in the early springtime. And now, since Storm is making them, they've kind of refreshed this bait a little bit, and they've kind of upgraded the hardware on it, put a little bit more refined paint jobs, put nice 3D eyes on there. Just a really cool crankbait, makes a ton of noise. So, so now the speed trap here from Storm, got the little snap on there, just like the old school ones. So another crankbait to add to the lineup, but you for sure want to have those for the pre-spawn. From Berkley, we got some new additional sizes in the Stunna series. So we have the Stunna series came out in a 112. Now we have a 100 option, a 100 plus one, and also a 112 plus two. And there's some new colors as well. So head on over to the website, you can see all the new colors and the new sizes of the Stunna series designed by Hank Cherry. This has been one of the hottest jerkbaits in the last couple of years, and now they're just adding to that whole lineup and just giving you guys more options for your jerkbait fishing. So if you need something smaller profile to kind of match the hatch for smaller bait fish, they got you covered. And now deeper offerings in the 112 size. All right, from VMC, we got a ton of stuff from VMC. I couldn't even go through it all. Well, the first one that I wanted to go over, though, is the new Redline heavy duty wide gap hook. So this Redline series of hooks has been really cool that they've been doing. So they're made out of a higher quality wire, and then they're made with these that slick gray, I think it's a TPFE or something like that coating. So it's a slick gray coating on the outside. So I mean, you get phenomenal hook penetration, and they are crazy sharp. But now they've got that heavy duty wire EWG style hook, and the eyes are welded shut. So if you want to use them for flipping, no problem there. But that I feel like I carry this style hook in my tackle box. I carry more of these than any other style hook out there, is those heavy wire EWG hooks. They're just so versatile, and they can do so many different things, and just a good hook to have in the box. The next one is their Tungsten swim bait head. So more and more people are seeing the need for tungsten, especially with live sonar fishing. And this thing, it looks like a 3/16 size jig head, but it's actually 3/8 because of the tungsten on there. So smaller profile, so you get more weight, so you can be able to cast farther and not have a big giant head on there. So you can have more weight in your presentation, but still maintain that small compact profile. Got that red line hook on the top, and then that stacked cone keeper. So put any kind of swim bait you want on there. Going to be phenomenal for all the new little Crush City swim baits. So if you're live scope fishing or just want, it's great that there's more terminal coming out on the market for that just help with other applications. So nice new tungsten head there from VMC. This one here is their VMC Redline series of spinner baits. This is another cool product from VMC, and the hook on here. So they've put one of those Redline sprout bend hooks on there. So that bend on there, when you hook a fish on those, it keeps fish locked in there so much better than a regular round bend. And then they've put quite a bit of lead down on the shank, so they're making the head a little bit smaller profile. and it's going to lock that trailer in place and giving you a keeper, because I traditionally run a trailer on my spinner baits. And then all the other components on here are super top quality. So high quality clevises, ball bearing swivels, blades. So they got these in double willow and Colorado willow, and there might be another blade combination. I can't remember all of them. But the blade's got a lot of flex to it. So I'm just going to increase the amount of vibration that you're getting out of those blades. So something that you always kind of want to look for is having that right mix of strength and flex in your spinnerbait to maximize your durability, but get the most amount of action. This one here is our new football jig. So this football jig is, I mean, it's kind of a modified football jig. It kind of comes down to a point back here behind the line tie. What that's going to do, it's like when your jig lifts up, it's going to help rock it back and forth, and just move that jig around, give you more action, and kind of give you a spot to stand up. And that hook on there, so going to be great for offshore fishing, deep points, ledges, all that kind of stuff where you want to drag a football jig across some structure. But that hook has got a serious wide gap on there, so you can put a big trailer on there, and then you're going to get plenty of hook penetration on those long casts. They've also got a new swim jig. Really like this swim jig. They got that same kind of, bigger, oversized hook on there, just going to give you more hookup power. And that head shape, pretty narrow, so it's going to slip through grass and cover really, really well. And then adding that lead down there on the shank helps minimize that head profile, just to help this thing slip through covers. And they've got this in a bunch of phenomenal colors. And their last one is I believe it's called the general purpose jig, or utility jig. I think that's what it's called. This jig, it's kind of a unique head shape. It kind of reminds me of like an old D&L jig. But this thing, they've got in a bunch of cool colors. It actually comes with a rattle band on it. So you got a rattle on there, and that hook is just a regular round bend, but it's short shank. So you're getting a lot of bite in that hook in a relatively small package. So again, great jigs, bunch of great new products from VMC. I couldn't even touch on them all. So make sure you go over to the website, check them all out. All right. How about X-Zone? Let's check these guys out. So X-Zone came out with a whole line of soft plastics, and they are all tiny little guys. So they got a little creature bait there. They've got this little Croix, and they've got a small minnow with a tiny little forked tail on it, and this little baby tube, which is really cool. So they're kind of building stuff for the bait finesse fishing market. So all that small, super finessey baits, and they've got a little tube head that's made perfectly to fit inside this little jig. So really cool baits, all finesse stuff. So if you're looking for stuff that's just small, more compact, down on that side, it's almost like Ned style stuff, but really built for the bait finesse market for tiny little jigs, tiny little creature baits. You can do so many different things with. So a whole lineup of super finessey stuff from X-Zone. The little minnow, you can do that on a drop shot. You can throw it on a tiny tungsten ball head. Tons of stuff you can do with all that gear. And it's got a ton of scent. When we open it up, we knew that that stuff is going to get bit, absolutely, because of all the scent they're throwing on that stuff. All right, from Geek Crack, we got a couple additions from some of their most popular baits. Obviously the Bellows Gill and then the Bellows Stick here. So these baits have been out for a long time, but now they're an elastomer material. So they hold up really well. The original Bellows series, you can tear them up pretty easily, especially, those heavily salted baits that are loaded with scent. And, some guys wanted something a little bit more durable for certain applications, and now they got you covered, especially if you're flipping into heavy cover, or if you're just going through like a lot of spotted bass, they won't be able to tear these up as much, and they float. So, if you weight them, they're going to sink, but you'll really slow down your rate of fall. And then if you put them on like shaky heads or something like that, they're going to stand straight up and not sink and lay on the bottom. So new additions to the Geek Crack lineup, now made of elastomer, just to hold all that stuff and hold the hooks in place and just be able to hold up to a lot more bites than the previous models. Still keeping the previous ones, but now they're just giving you more options. So from Z-Man, a bunch of new panfish stuff this year. We got the goby grubs, and then we got the micro worms. So, I think everyone's realizing how effective all the small stuff is on bass, but also, obviously use them for panfish, crappie, trout, bluegill, all that stuff. Just more baits added to the lineup. So a little straight tail worm, little baby grub. So you can do a million different things with those. So more micro finesse stuff adding to the Z-Man lineup. And then this last one, this is one that I'm pretty interested to try out myself, is this new EWG hook. So it's the ZWG hook there from Z-Man. But as you can see, this keeper system on here. So it's made for Elastec materials. So if you've ever tried to rig up Elastec, it can sometimes be a pain. But the way this hook is set up is once you rig it up and get it on there, over the head, and then you have this little keeper right here down on the shank, this little nub that you can slide up against your bait to kind of keep it in there. And then you're not having to fight to bury the hook point so hard to get it to stay truly weedless. So this is a really cool hook that, that I'm really excited to try out on a bunch of Z-Man products that were traditionally a little bit harder to rig on some of the offerings of hooks that are on the market. Now you've got a hook that is made for that Elastec material. And I mean, Elastec already lasts so long. If you've never tried it, you can catch so many fish on one bait. And now that they've got a hook that's made to rig that stuff, it's just going to increase the effectiveness, or increase the amount of fish you're going to be able to catch even more. So really cool stuff there from Z-Man this year. And I think that just about covers it. So thanks for staying with us and staying tuned in. I know there's a lot of stuff, but it's all the ICAST stuff. It's the most exciting time of the year. All the new products coming out in the market. Stuff's trickling into stock every single day, and all this stuff's up for pre-order. But if you haven't checked it out, make sure to head on over to the website at tacklewarehouse.com, and you can check out all the ICAST footage, and you can check out all this new gear, all the new baits. If you want more information, check out all the links below, and you can find anything that you're looking for. And thanks for tuning in.